So I will call the meeting to order at 7:01. Could we have roll call, please?
Iverson.
Here.
Schatzinger.
Here.
Reamer.
Here.
Gallops.
Here.
Denkert.
Here.
Gotsky.
Here.
Sorensen.
Here.
Split.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's take a moment for our invocation. Our scripture reading is from the book of James, chapter 5. James writes, "Be patient, therefore, beloved, until the coming of the Lord. The farmer waits for the precious crop from the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rains. You also must be patient." Let's pray. Good and gracious God, be present with us now, the leaders of our city, the citizens of our city, and grant us your holy wisdom. Grant us that we may show dignity and respect to others, and, O Lord, grant us patience. We pray in the name of your holy Son. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Been moved by Doug, seconded by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. No one has signed up for public comment this evening. So we'll move on to accepting informal reports from standing committees and staff. Is there a motion to approve the reports as published?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Ellen, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? Doug,
I guess it's the financial report, check registry.
go ahead.
I have a question on, let's see, 6/6 check issue date to JF Lopez Roofing. What building or what was that for?
That was for the DPW garage.
Okay. And then at the end of the page 3, Berkshire Associates, is that for the housing study?
Yes.
Okay, how many more payments are we making yet?
Unsure where we are in terms of payments to them on it, but I think we've had 2 or 3, so probably another 2 or 3.
Okay, so we're getting close?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that all?
Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the informal reports from standing committee and staff as published, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are accepted. Next is a consent calendar. On here is the minutes from June 11th and June 24th Common Council meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as published?
I'll motion to approve.
A second.
By John, second by Ellen. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Moving into our first agenda item, to reconsider tree removal proposals and award a contract. This was on last meeting's agenda with the stipulation on confirming stump grinding. It has been confirmed that none of the proposals should have considered stump grinding, as we are going to use a separate contractor for that at the end of the season. So this would be coming back to you to select the contract for tree removal, knowing that none of them include stump grinding. So we're still comparing apples to apples. Steve?
So we need a motion to reconsider. Put it on the table.
I'll make a motion that we reconsider.
I second it.
Motion by Steve, second by Jolene to reconsider. Steve?
Let's vote on that motion. So we got it on the table.
Is there any discussion on the motion to reconsider? Hearing none, all those in favor of reconsidering last month's vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
My only question was on some of these contracts, it says that they're going to do stump grinding and reconstruct the area that's done.
The Gabe's Treetop has resubmitted with that as a line item, I noticed.
Okay.
So they're still significantly higher by almost $10,000 with that as a line item
So they're not gonna, none of them are including that in their bid.
in the current bidding.
All right.
Alan, do you have any more clarification on that?
So when I initially sent out the request for quotes, I had discussions with these three contractors along with a couple others to confirm that I did not want stump grinding included. What happened is two of the ones that did submit, they did not include stump grinding. Gabe's did include it, and that was due to some internal, the person I talked to at Gabe's had then left to go on vacation or something like that, so somebody else picked up where he left off, and they did not know not to include the stump grinding. I since, after the last meeting, I since called all three contractors confirming that Muir and the Abler did not include stump grinding. They confirmed that they did not include stump grinding. Gabe's then informed me that they did include it, and I had informed the person I talked to that I had had a discussion with another party not to include it. And that's when I was informed that the project had got handed off to a different staff member. So that day, they backed out or provided a separate line item for the stump removal. So that's where we got the revised numbers on the current staff report, where Muir of Green Lake is still the lowest qualified bidder.
Is the city gonna do the stump grinding, or are you farming that out too?
No, we have a different contractor that I had established a relationship from the Fox Valley. He actually came in and did stump grinding for 94 stumps earlier this year for a price that is a small fraction of what we paid Gabe's to do 64 stumps earlier. So
I saw that on the budget, so.
And
okay.
I have since, when I solicited these tree removal quotes, I made additional contact with that stump grinding contractor, and he confirmed that he will, as long as he gets a full day's worth of work to make it worth his while to come down here, he will continue to bid on the work that we offer him.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Alan?
You okay with Muir? No problems with him?
I'm finding his work to be sound. Recently, he removed the large trees along St. Wenceslas, and then we had, after last Tuesday's storm, we had a tree that failed at the corner of Watson and Howard. He was there the next day to remove the rest of that tree.
Good.
So, and then I did ask him for 2 additional quotes based upon pending tree failures, and he's already got those to me, and assuming I get approval tonight, he's going to add those. He gave me pricing on those 2 that is comparable to what he gave for the rest of this quote.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan.
I'll come back up.
I'll make a motion to approve Muir for $22,100.
I'll second it.
Motion's by David, second by Jolene. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of awarding Muir of Green Lake the contract for tree removal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. All right, Alan, come right back up. Next topic is sidewalk removal and replacement proposal. This is not including the grinding, it's just the removal and replacement portion.
The grinding has already been approved
Correct.
as part of the whole proposal by Safe Step. What they do is they go through the area identified and try to stay within. They try to identify grinding and removals within a certain budget amount that I provide them with. They do the analysis, they mark the sidewalk, they give me a list. I then take the list for the removals, I add to it whatever has been brought to my attention outside of the area. With that list, I then solicited quotes from at least 4, if not 5 contractors, receiving 3 quotes. The quotes are from Beardsley Concrete, which is out of Kenosha. They have done the work for the city for the past few years. Aldix Concrete is out of the Kaukauna area. Aldix also happens to be the subcontractor for doing concrete for St. Wenceslas. So while the timing of the replacement work will come into play around September of this year, that's about when the concrete work for St. Wenceslas is scheduled, based on the project schedule, to take place there. So I imagine that Aldix looked at this as being opportune to keep his crews busier while in the city of Ripon. And then I was made aware by our engineering firm about Always Concrete out of Omro. They have a good reputation. Unfortunately, their pricing is higher than the other two. So with this, I've worked with Aldix several times in my previous employ while working in the Fox Valley. They do quality work. They continue to grow their business. That started out that I knew them just for doing sidewalk. I've used them to also do concrete road patching, of which our engineer is in communication with Aldix Concrete to coordinate the concrete road patches on Oshkosh Street and on Douglas Street. We're going to try to time those around the time that the railroad crossings get improved.
Any questions, comments, motions?
I'll make a motion that we approve Aldix Concrete Incorporated for $26,505.48.
29,000.
Pardon?
29,000.
I'm corrected. 29? Okay. I'll take that correction.
So 29,105.48.
There are two different. Yeah, there are two
Yeah,
numbers.
because I got 26.
Yeah, you're right, and I'm looking at the summary. Which one is it?
It's 48. And I will second that.
Whichever one it is.
Yeah, the 40, I'll second the
Whichever one
48.
the math is.
Alan, I would assume that their proposal is the more accurate number, and a mistype on the recommendation.
Well, hearing, they're not that.
There was some math that they did not do that I did for them in the spreadsheet. It had to do with the detectable warning fields as well as the curbing for, I think, 4 different crosswalks that need to be done. So that's where the difference in the number is. When I ran the math, 29,105.48 is what I came up with. In the end, it's going to be, the final quantities will be determined by field measurements and we'll pay based upon the unit pricing that they provided.
And some of the unit prices were higher, but in total, when you did the math, they still came in.
Correct.
The lowest responsible bidder.
For the crosswalks, I applied the same quantities to the 2 that gave me unit pricing.
So we're seeking a motion to be the 29,105.48.
I think you have a motion.
do.
Well, I had 26,000, but 29,000
Corrected.
is corrected. So, and as long as you're happy with them and comfortable with them.
I've had good experience.
What's that?
It was seconded by Dave.
Dave, are you all right with that correction?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is to accept the Al Dix concrete proposal in the amount of $29,105.48. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Jolene?
One of the proposals says per local codes. I appreciate that they include that, but obviously whoever we contact would have to abide by local code.
Correct.
And actually, so they put on here, city sidewalk ramp warning fields non-painted with install, the one of them, the other, I'm not sure all of them. But I don't know if you want to say how I realized by my house more recently when sidewalk was done and it wasn't painted, I thought there was something wrong, and you actually did, thank you for your research. Actually, you wanted to talk to that?
So I noted the painted versus non-painted, and both contractors that offered the pricing on that, they said it's the same price whether painted or unpainted. There's a drawback with both. With painted, they can get slippery and the paint can start to peel off over time. With the non-painted, you get the rusting, the patina, and then that can bleed and stain adjacent concrete. It gets down to which would you rather contend with? I would rather avoid slips, trips, and falls on painted concrete.
If it's not being painted, are you putting down that sealant layer at least?
I'll have to check on that. I think that they leave it raw.
Okay. And from personal experience, raw seems to hold up just as well as the sealed.
It didn't look as nice, but when you explained it, I was okay with it.
The painted does look very nice, but there has been cases of all people slipping on them and causing claims to be filed.
Yeah. Any further?
Excuse me, can they mix sand in with the paint to make it slippy?
I think that they actually try that and it still gets slippery.
It didn't work, okay.
Yeah. It's a factory paint job, so it gets down to is what each of the different factories are doing. It's not a field applied finish.
Yeah.
I'm just curious why you didn't ask this Al Dix to redo their estimate if they missed something and you added it in yourself?
Because their lump sum is still that much higher than everybody else's. You talking about always?
No, that Al Dix, the low bid. Why, you said that you added money to their bid?
I took their unit pricing and figured out what the cost would be for the crosswalks.
And then the other people had that figured already?
Correct, they had their unit pricing in there where I was able to do the math.
So my question is, why didn't you just call them and ask them to redo their estimate?
Timing.
Okay. Just curious, that's all. I've had to do plenty of re-estimates.
You've gotten those calls.
Any further questions or discussion?
Certainly you could request that they put that, so there isn't any question of what they're working on. You want to make that as a friendly amendment that they send a proposal. I think that's good practice. I would agree with John on that. Have them
What I gather out of it is they
confirming
didn't,
proposal.
what I gather out of it is they did not come and field measure.
Right.
You can
So you're
ask.
you did the math, they need
Right.
He
to
would have
send
to
you a
agree.
confirming
He won't
note,
have to agree.
is what I would ask that the motion include.
And I'll make a friendly
Thank you.
amendment that
Thank you,
we include that then,
for our records.
for our records.
Is that all right with you? All right. So the motion currently is to approve the Al Dix proposal in the amount of $29,105.48 while requesting a updated estimate from the company. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? That is approved. All right. Next item is the sanitary sewer jetting and televising proposal.
So annually, the wastewater department is required to clean and televise a section of the city's sanitary sewer per the capacity management operation and maintenance program. The request for proposals sought for jetting and televising were for 52,000 linear feet. And we received 2 proposals, one from Speedy Queen and one from Aqualus, and they are formerly Northern Pipe. Speedy Clean came in with 98 cents per foot, and it totals $50,960, and Aqualus was 75 cents per foot, and that totals $39,000. So we are requesting that you approve Aqualus's proposal for $39,000. Any questions?
Just in previous years, recent years, we've been using Speedy Clean, is that correct?
Yes. So typically we use Speedy Clean for emergency purposes, and we have always used them in the past. However, I sought out other companies that I am familiar with from my previous community, and they came in with a lower bid.
And we expect similar quality of service?
I asked them specifically exactly what Speedy Clean usually does, and to make sure that they would do exactly and give us the exact same result.
Okay.
They agreed.
Ellen?
I move that we accept the bid from Aqualist for the amount of $39,000.
I'll second.
Been moved by Ellen, seconded by Mark.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? Jolene?
That was quite a bit lower. Thank you for seeking additional proposals. My question is, I know of an individual in my district who did not realize this was going on last year or the last time we did it, and it did have water spray out of their toilet. So how are we making sure that it is announced at all appropriate channels and people know to close their toilet seats?
So much like hydrant flushing just started today, we will get a notice out ahead of it a couple weeks. We posted that hydrant flushing would start in a couple weeks, just getting people familiar with it. Then we will post when they're in town and try to get the map out of, the general area of where people could be impacted by it. Obviously, the contractor sometimes shows up, they work different hours. Most people are gone during the day, or a lot of people are, so you don't see some of the issues. But every so often, even when someone's home, they may have the unfortunate situation where they are, it is what it is. So, but we will let people know.
I'm very happy, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding
Mark.
All those in favor of awarding Aqualus the contract for sewer jetting and televising in the amount of $39,000, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Moving on to the 2025 budget, wages and benefits discussion and approvals. Adam?
All right, so we have kicked off the 2025 budget. We obviously annually begin working on that in June through November. A major component of our annual budget are wages and benefits. So over the past few years, we've changed a couple different things, including last year. We formally adopted the position pay plan and the city pay plan and program. Within that program, there are a couple requirements annually that the council set, including a cost of living adjustment and a pay for performance adjustment as well. In addition to that, annually we review benefits. So There's some numbers that I provided to you in a staff report, including the pay plan, which I did notice. I had 2024, it should be 2025 on the second page. And then there's the actual position pay plan, which is each position, regular position within the city, and a general pay range for each position with a 3% increase. So I will just kick this off. Let me get this one. So I sent this out last night as well as printed off copies for everybody. But the 2025 pay plan and program, we are recommending going into the 2025 budget a 3% cost of living adjustment. That is the same that was done last year. And it also includes a recommendation of a 2% for pay for performance. So that would equal a total of 5%. To give everybody some perspective, the pay plan, I feel worked really well. Approximately 6 out of 36 full-time staff eligible staff members received the pay for performance or 16%. So we're trying not to overuse that, but we're rewarding exemplary performance. It's based on performance evaluation and a process that we've established. We will continue to have that process evolve and limit the increase of 5% or up to 5% to the top performers in the organization, okay? So overall, an employee that is exemplary performance could receive up to 5%. Last year, there was no employee that did not receive a 3% cost of living adjustment, okay? So everybody obtained that. Just for some perspective as well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics over the last 12 months of May 2024, the all items consumer price index inflation number was 3.3%. So generally speaking, having a 3% wage increase is in line with what the cost of living index has been over the last 2 years, technically. So last year is around 3%. Where we probably fell off in terms of wage range was the previous year, where inflation, everything was 9% for the same periods. But ultimately, we are in a position now where, you know, the cost of living adjustment, the recommendation is to keep it in line with the consumer price index. Note that this does not include wage increases projected for the police union. They are in a negotiation year. We will have those negotiations in July, as well as this does not go into effect for library. Library board sets wages for the library. Overall, the base wage information with a 3% increase, this is without overtime, but if the council were to recommend that, we anticipate an approximate minimum cost of just over $100,000, okay? With the average base wage of our full-time employee or full-time staff being approximately $67,757. So overall, you know, I feel that number shows that the city is paying decent wages for our staff across the board, and keeps in line with a lot of our peers for similar positions. And having the 3% equate to $100,000, that's a lot of money, no doubt. But it projects out to that number at a minimum. Obviously, over time, if the police union is more, could adjust that number up and down, but that is just our base estimate going into this. So there's a recommendation to authorize the pay plan with a 3% COLA and a 2% pay for performance. In conjunction with that, we can start talking about 2025 benefits, primarily health insurance and dental. For the past 2 years, we have entered the state health plan after experiencing significant increases in the private commercial lines and making adjustments and exposing the city to high HRA claims. We moved to the state health plan. As many of you may remember, that was at around a similar cost to what the commercial plan offered, but a far better plan design, and it did include a surcharge. The surcharge was at 40% for year 1, 20% at year 2. We are in year 3, and the surcharge is dropping off. So in this information, these are the current rates that we are paying for health insurance through the state health plan. There are 9 single and 29 family. That doesn't include library in this calculation. But ultimately, the way this works is the state health plan is based on the average of the lowest cost, or the average of the class 1 or tier 1 plans within your county. So Network Health is the only tier 1 plan, so that's how you get the number that the maximum the city pays at an 88-12% split. So the city pays 88%, the employee pays 12%. So it's you can see the split there. If somebody wants a different plan than Network Health or a lower cost plan, they have to pay more. So it's the employee's choice, which is very different than what we've done in the past, and this is our 3rd year, and it's working well. The reason it's working well is because we already have 2025 rates. If you remember when we were in previous years, we were always scrambling in October for renewals, and we were under the gun to make decisions and plan design changes. Right now, we have 2025 rates. They're provided to you. Overall, based on our current enrollment, we would say an $82,000 reduction in health insurance costs for the city based on our current plan design, because the surcharge is fully removed. That is a positive thing, obviously, and from my perspective, when looking at the overall benefits package, we have a significant number of our employees on dental, and we currently have dental coverage through Humana that is paid at 100% by the employee, okay? And an opportunity to offer our employees a more comprehensive health insurance package. The state does offer the opportunity to include dental into the plan. If we were to add that, we would still be saving $54,402, okay? So there are 21 current active employees in this pool that would be impacted by this. They pay $27 to up to $177 a month for dental insurance, okay? It would be baked into the rate. They could also purchase additional coverage beyond that the city wouldn't cover, but you can buy additional coverage, right? The city has traditionally not covered dental, but from the perspective of wage increases being at 3% and kind of keeping up with benefits plans and where we are, we thought it was appropriate to bring forward an opportunity to add dental. Overall, health insurance premiums are expected to drop within the city for the 2025 year budget, as explained. We have savings realized, the savings we could realize we could use to offer dental coverage. The net impact on our budget right now estimated just base salary at a 3% increase with the reduction in the cost of health insurance would be an estimated increase of $18,000 to $46,000. So if we didn't include dental, it would be $18,000. If we did, it would be $46,000. There were times where a 3% increase and a 10 or 12% increase in health insurance resulted in a $200,000 increase in our budget, right? That was how unsustainable things were headed all across the state for municipalities with health insurance costs and the lack of being able to increase levies, et cetera, right? We are in a position now where in 2025, we don't anticipate having a significant increase because of our health insurance costs stabilizing or dropping, okay? So if the council decides that they want to offer dental, there would need to be a plan design change resolution with the state health plan, as well as an employee handbook change resolution. So we don't have to do that tonight, but if that's something the council wants to direct administration to do and draft, we can prepare those and bring them forward. Ultimately, like I said, we are ahead. Obviously, if things within the budget go haywire, we can make changes. But moving forward, we wanted to bring this information as we work on the budget. It allows us to stay ahead and keep pace, as well as going into union negotiations, having a clearer understanding of what the city's wages and benefit expectations are going to be.
I'd like to thank you for bringing the dental option forward. Dental health is so impactful upon overall health, and dental health also assists in the long-term health of the individual. I would be in favor of accepting the proposal with the dental component, because while short-term, we see an increase of $46,000 as a net increase given the reduction, in the long term, we are going to have healthier employees because they've had access to dental insurance.
I also think it's worth noting that right now we have 21 city employees that are paying out of their own pocket for dental insurance, that I'm making an assumption that they would more than likely move into the plan also. So we're saving, those individuals that out-of-pocket expense as well if we go with the dental option.
Is there any models that exist in other places where employees get a stipend to use? I like the idea of including dental, to be clear, that they get a stipend to use for dental or maybe for their own healthcare expenses as they see fit.
So we used to have an HRA. We got rid of the HRA when we moved to the state health plan, because the state health plan design, as you can see here, it's a $500,000 deductible. So we were, we went previous to this, we had like a $6,000, $12,000 deductible plan with an HRA covering. So it was a lot of risk associated for the city if people used their HRA. We do have health savings accounts or we have flex spending accounts where individuals can put in dollars to pay for things as well, medical costs, qualifying medical expenses. But in terms of a stipend, I would have to look at the legalities of all that. I know there's been people that have had like payments in lieu of health insurance and things like that. The fact of the matter is that may be considered having the insurance. But ultimately, from a cost perspective, this isn't for the coverage that you'd be getting. It's a good price, and so we're not going to necessarily have employees shop around. The current rate, at $177 for the best plan, I believe in the state health plan is like $70. So we're paying more out of the state health plan because we're independent, and with the state, we're getting the entire employee pool. So we're getting a better rate. Yep. So there's a lot of moving pieces to all of this, but we have shied away from those things more recently because we have better plan designs.
And back to the idea of a stipend, I think it would end up costing us more administratively, because typically in those situations, you would hire a TPA, a third-party administrator, to disperse those funds and double-check everything. This is a much cleaner alternative because they have the infrastructure in place because they're insurance companies, to process those things, and then we aren't responsible for it, the insurance company is.
Adam might have said this, and I probably missed it, but with the state dental, they're still paying 12% of the premium?
Yes.
And we're, okay.
Yeah, and then if you look at this last page here, sorry, you have the Uniform Dental Preventative Plan, which is what is covered by the city under the 88-12% split. The employee then has the option to buy more in a Select or a Select Plus plan at their own 100% cost. So that's up to them, but generally speaking, if I'm remembering correctly, right now an employee is paying approximately $127 for a family plan. Their share would go down to about $3, and the city's share is something like 30-some dollars per month. So you're talking about a big difference in terms of overall cost for the premium. And then if they want to add more, they can add more, so.
Does Delta include, if the employee wishes to pay for it, an orthodontic option within their different plans?
Select Plus has.
Select Plus has.
Yeah, I can't read.
Yeah, so they gotta pay more, so.
Right, well, you do.
So.
Do you need a motion from us to proceed with?
So the first thing would be the pay plan. If there's a recommendation or a motion to authorize the 3% cost of living and the pay plan for cost of living and the pay for performance at 2%, that would be one motion. And then the second motion would be just a recommendation to proceed with the addition of dental. I can draft the resolutions and bring those forward.
I move that we increase the base wage for 2025 for all regular, full, and part-time positions to 3%. In addition, where's the 2% thing?
Pay for performance.
Pay for performance at 2%.
I'll second.
Motion by Ellen, second by John. Any discussion on that motion? Steve?
Who approves the excess wage for
The pay for
performance?
The department head does the initial recommendation with approval from city administrator.
I have a question aligned with that. Is there any cap or is there any guidelines for the department heads on, obviously there's a minimum requirement of quality of work, of performance that you need, but let's say 100% of the department gets, up to that. Is that gonna just be paid out? That would be okay? Or is there we'd have to cap somehow, grade on a curve, so to speak, or
there's a curve type method. There really is. The pay program we created last year, it was one of the first times ever that it said you may not get a raise, right? To our city staff if you don't perform, which I think makes sense. If you overperform, or if there are other factors, that lead to someone having exemplary work, or they're underpaid and it's a time to catch them up, right? Those things are all considered, and ultimately, the top performers, based on what the budget can handle and just looking at each department, it comes down to just making that decision with the department head. And the biggest thing we did was not say there's a scale of 5. Anybody over 4.5 gets the pay for performance. Well, then a department head's going to go give everyone in their department a 4.5. No, that is not how this is operating. That is not how it's designed, because it's really meant to reward those who are working the hardest, showing up every day, doing the hard work, and it gets away from some step pay that we've done in the past, where it's just after X amount of years you get a bump. So there's ranges and control points, so you can't get above a certain rate. Overall, I think just based on the numbers at 16%, that's about the number we will be at, or under there. 20% or under, 15% will be where we're at. Those are the top performers for the year. We'll report it out every year like this to the council.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a pool of funds that limits how many people are top performers?
No.
Okay.
Jolene?
Can you remind me, is it public who's the top performers are?
You can open record request it, it's just.
Salaries are all
It's just
open
all. Yeah, I mean, it's all public record, but yeah, I mean.
The reason I ask is because I care about, pay equality. If someone wants to know, how does, I guess that's why we trust you to kind of be overseeing what the stipulations are for a pay increase, that it would not be based on factors that shouldn't be. For example, gender.
There is a performance review process that has been put in place that is the same performance review across the entire organization. Everybody's getting treated the same, right? And at the end of the day, when the report comes out and somebody scored a 4.5 and somebody scored a 4 or whatever, right? We work with the department head and say, who do you think deserves a pay for performance bump? Who's really done the work this year? If it's nobody in the department, it's nobody in the department. If it's 2 people, it's 2 people. We just try to make sure that we're rewarding the best performers through the process we have established and being consistent. We've done it for 1 year. Honestly, I think it worked well for year 1. And there are controls built into the pay structure.
Thanks.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the motion is to recommend, or it is to increase the base salary by 3% for 2025 with the additional 2% pay for performance. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
He was there.
That is approved. Ellen?
I would like to make a motion, I will move that we accept the 2025 recommendation for health insurance, which includes the dental plan.
I will second.
Motion by Ellen, seconded by David. Any discussion on the health insurance with dental? And to be clear, this is just instructing city administration to
Bring back the resolution.
the proper resolutions to make it happen.
I would just like to make a note or hear how many employees choose the dental portion, if that is a valuable thing overall to the number.
21.
Well, yeah, at a minimum, I'm assuming, or do you think it's just?
21 are currently
21 are
buying their own through our plan.
23 out of, if you included library, I think it's 24 total employees. So it's about 60% are currently selecting dental.
But Mark, are you asking to see if it increases?
Yeah, I'd like to know if it increases with us offering the dental plan.
It's built in, it's automatic.
Oh,
so
okay.
everybody.
So everyone will get the base.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. Because then they can select their additional if they choose. Okay.
Cool.
Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of instructing the city administration to bring us the proper resolutions for including dental with the health insurance policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. Thank you. All right, project updates and staff reports. Start at the back. Bill, anything? Katie? No. Naomi?
I will make note of one thing. I don't know if everybody realizes the absentee ballots have been mailed for the August 13th election. So those are out there. And then on July 5th, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has overturned. So now we're going to be putting our drop box back into the front lobby, and you're going to be able to start using the drop box again for putting your ballots in.
You're also doing a panel discussion on the referendum.
And the League of Women Voters will be doing a panel discussion on the referendum that is on the ballot for August 13th. It is on July 17th.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Trying to remember off the top of my head. 1 second.
Here.
Next Wednesday. So it's the 17th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. If you would like to come and ask questions, find out a little bit more about the referendum, and understand before you actually go and place your vote.
Thank you. Adam?
So I apologize to the community for the 4th of July fireworks being canceled and having to be rescheduled. The forecast did us no favors there. So talking with our local partners and just internally, we did announce that we will move the fireworks to August 3rd as part of Scoop the Loop, with the concept being scoop the loop, then go to Barlow, because there is a loop in Barlow Park, and view the fireworks that night. So we will continue to promote that and let people know that that's going on. Hydrant flushing, I noted, started today, so if people have any water quality issues, to please run their water. The first employee newsletter went out. I think everybody on the council was shared that as well, so you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like and what we're trying to do there. We had our DPW building project pre-bid mandatory meeting this morning with SEH, and had a very good number of prime general contractors show up. So we feel that there's adequate interest and hope that we get a decent number of bids. Bids are due August 1st. So we'll keep moving forward on that project.
Does that mean that the design is 100% now?
Design is pretty much, yes, it means it's 100%. Today, there were questions that the contractors have, then we got to clarify it with an addendum. Ultimately, not much changed from 60 to 90 to 100% in terms of the budget or the overall plan or anything like that. So
But you figured out where you're going to put those Art Deco letters that say Department of Public Works, right?
We'll get there. That's more, that's less important than the precast panels that hold the structure up, and less expensive than those. But certainly, you know, there were similar projects recently bid out, so we have a good idea where this hopefully comes in at. And hopefully there's some competition within the bid. As I stated too, we will be having our union negotiations with the police union upcoming. And then Envision Greater Fond du Lac will be here in July here at the second meeting to just give an update. There could be a couple other things on that agenda, so it might be a little bit longer than this agenda, but they requested to come, and a part of our agreement with them was they would come prior to going through the budget, so July 22nd they will be here. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Adam. All right. have no appointments tonight, just want to say it's going to be hot and humid next couple of weeks, so if you're outside working, make sure you take care of yourselves. Any future agenda items or comments from council? Steve?
I had a group of people come up to me and they were really concerned about the parking down at Murray Park for the baseball diamonds in that area when they have tournaments, and evidently it's hard to park around there when they're doing baseball games and stuff like that. I don't know if the Parks Department can look into having additional area, even if it's only gravel, for parking. It would be something to suggest to them, please.
Okay. Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Moved by Doug, seconded by David. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:56.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.